Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Zealots of Outcast convert the nomadic desert dwellers of Brimstone Sands. We caught up with a company representative to go over the quick result.
Yeah, it was a really hard-fought war. They put up a really good defense, but we were able to secure the W there. Really thought it could go either way. They came out in a different formation than what we've seen before. It was really interesting to see the full naked 20-man strat. Liked it. It was tough to counter, but we really coordinated well, and I think overall our guys just did incredibly well. I want to give a shout out to myself for having the top score, even though they're not going to give me a payout for it. They're kind of griefing me, and that's all.
That wasn't the only action last night. KOTT News crew spoke with the recently freed Bo about his first fight back on the island. Congratulations on your victory here in Weaver's Fin, holding it down for a full 30 minutes. Would you care to take us through how it went out there?
It was sweaty. I'm not gonna lie. We were in the fort and they were pressuring the point, but we knew that we had lost the secondary oil reserves of Cutlass, and we just really knew it was important for us to keep the primary oil reserves in Weavers.
Yep, if those should happen to fall into the wrong hands, the whole island could go up in smoke. Exactly.
Yeah, we're here for the island, so we're protecting these oil reserves, keep gas prices down.
So how excited were you that the team physicians cleared you to participate in this war?
I was very excited. That was the thing I missed the most when I was stuck on IG, is the wars. And so yeah, it was good to be back. Had to get the rust off, but yeah, it was really good to be back. A lot of fun.
Was there anybody whose efforts out there you'd like to highlight tonight?
You know, our shot caller, Drem Anus, did a phenomenal job. He really did kill it. And I think that's what secured the win, was his clutch calls in that very sweaty competitive war.
Later in Winsword, we caught up with the JDB to discuss their outcomes.
So we got Declan on Winsword, and then Context, which is probably one of the biggest company on the server when it comes to numbers, decided to push us for 8 hours on Winsword to force a double deck. And throughout all my hours in New World, it's the first time that I actually witnessed a company exploit for a deck, and on top of that, a double deck. That was pretty cringe. So everybody was really happy to just show up today, and they're trying this new EU strat or whatever, where there's not like 10 bows and it's not sword and shields, and they just keep on playing. They pretty much play like a guess what dorm come through. So the entire war, I mean, to be honest, they got us to fort pretty quick, but the entire fort phase was a guess what door I'm gonna come through, and every time they just pick the door, we just won the fight.
Let me ask you, you said exploit. What do you mean by exploit, just so I'm clear on the topic?
The exploit that they found out is that if you die within the range of that mission, or you need to like stand in place for about 1.5 minutes. If let's say we kill them in that range, they can wait about 1.5 minutes, which is like the time it takes for that mission to be completed, on their death screen, die, and respawn at Winsword itself and turn in the mission.
I didn't think you were allowed to take missions. Once you were dead, they were failed missions, I thought.
I thought so too, John.
KOTT Investigates will bring you more on this story as it develops. In other news, newly automated leaderboards have been installed for use via the modes interface. Data has begun being tracked by the system, but does not reflect the official historical archives to this point. As seen here on KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. If you're thinking of pushing influence today, you'll have all afternoon to do so without interference. But look out after sunset when the temperatures drop and a 40% chance of invasion will arise across the island. 2 more submissions for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Up first, the Marauders of Subtext attacked the syndicate members of Globogem for control of the rain-drenched mountain region of Morningdale. The former Great House of Morningdale, Subtext returned to resecure their hold on this distant region, full of valuable crafting resources. The Serpents of Globogem are all warmed up and familiar with the terrain after their charity event earlier in the week, but there will be no goodwill tonight. Later, the Marauders of Thrust Damage assail the Covenant forces of Outcast for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. The Marauders of Thrust Damage take a crack at securing this southern staging grounds for both the Lazarus Expedition and Siren Chest Run trains, departing nearly every hour. Outcast forces are coming off their victory last night. As reported earlier in this broadcast, they'll be fresher than the daily catch, so don't expect them to just lie down. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.